Welcome to the Agents Lounge podcast, where we talk all things real estate with the industry's top performers. Join us as we dive into the inspiring journeys of successful agents and uncover the secrets to their success. Whether you're a seasoned agent or just starting out, we got the tips and tricks to help you navigate the world of real estate. Brought to you by Integrity Comfort Solutions. So grab a seat and join us in the Agents Lounge.
Welcome back to episode number 5 of Agents Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Gaylor with Integrity Comfort Solutions, accompanied by Mr. Nate Keir with True Blue, specializing in premium house care. Co-host Francisco Bermudez Jr.
Howdy.
How's everyone doing?
Good, Nathan, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and we'd like to welcome our guest today, Jennifer Taylor with EXP Realty. How's it going?
Fantastic.
Yeah, cool. So, yeah, Jennifer Taylor with EXP Realty. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So, yeah, just it's okay to be nervous if it's a new thing for you. So, just tell me a random question here. If you could pick a superpower for a day, what would it be and why?
Ooh, probably reading somebody's minds.
Why is that?
Because when you go into a room or you approach people, you never really know what they're thinking. So I would love to be able to know exactly what somebody's thinking.
Right. Or if somebody, like for a client of yours, maybe you could be
Exactly.
like, are they wasting my time?
Exactly. I was literally fixing to say the exact same thing. Like, are we just sitting here shopping, window shopping, or are we legit fixing to buy a house?
Yeah. I like that. That's one I haven't heard. So that's good. Most people go with flying, which I mean, it's cool, but reading minds is definitely practical for sure.
Yeah, I would much rather read your mind. It's like being a fly on the wall. Like, I want to see what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Right? Yeah. All right. So just to get started, tell us a little bit about your background. How would you do before you got into the realty business? And
So I was in the military.
Yeah.
Retired 28 years. So that's how I started off. And so in 2012, we bought our first house in San
it's a good time to
Antonio.
buy.
And it was not the best experience.
Why?
It just wasn't the best experience. As a first-time home buyer, it was new to me. And just a lot of ups and downs. And so then it was like, you know what? I think this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that not necessarily I could do a better job than somebody else. I just think I can give a better experience.
I got you.
And so it became my passion. And so this is what I knew I wanted to do. And I did IT in the military. I have a master's degree in IT, top secret clearance. This is what money to be made when you retire, but no desire to do it. Like Control Alt Delete, call somebody else.
Right.
So my passion is real estate. I knew that's what I was going to do. I got my license. I did it part-time while I was still in the military.
Yeah.
And then when I retired, full-time, full throttle, full steam ahead, and here I am.
Yeah, so you kind of ease your way into it a little bit there. With starting part-time?
Yes.
Okay. So just go back a little bit. What do you pull from your personal bad experience? And how do you pull that into what your game is?
So communication is my pet peeve. And I think
Good communication is a pet peeve?
No, bad
Just fine.
communication is a pet peeve. So I think communication is the forefront of your business practices. If you don't have communication and you don't provide that to your business practice and your clients, and you can't make time to respond via text, phone call, email, then your business model is trash. And
Indeed.
so I learned that, in my military career and in real estate, and clients just want to know that, hey, you can be busy, you're human, you have a life, but at the same time, they just want to know that you're still there for them.
Right.
And so you have to be able to communicate. And if you lack communication and you lack those skills, then I just feel like you can't. And I learned that when I was buying my house.
Yeah.
And if you cannot respond, then we have problems.
And I agree with her because the first home that I bought, we got a realtor that was referred to us by a friend that he didn't even know the realtor. He just called. He's like, hey, call this guy. He's a realtor. So we ended up calling him. And he didn't show us any of the houses we wanted to see. Nothing was on our budget. Everything was so, like, nothing that we told him that we wanted to buy. He didn't show us none of that.
Really?
And then we asked our friends, like, hey, where do you know this realtor? He's like, oh, no, I've never done business with him. He just goes to my church.
Oh, my goodness.
What about you, Nate? You have anything like that?
No, I think communication is key. I know in our business it's the same thing, right? We live in an instant culture right now where everybody wants something very, very quickly. So you have to be able to respond, even if it's not like the answer they want or you can't give them the full answer right now, but you still have to be available to people. And so, yeah, that's a great thing to focus your business on because we see it day in and day out, and I'm sure you guys do at Integrity too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That like begs the next question though, like setting boundaries is essential too. Whether, I mean, you'll just go crazy if you're always, your phone is attached to you, which it almost has to be all the time. But how do we set boundaries? Like, how, personally, like, I know that if you value communication, where do you draw, or do you draw a line anywhere? Or is your phone just always on?
So my phone is always on. However, it goes on silent mode at 9 p.m.
9?
But I also get up at 4 p.m. or 4 a.m. because I work out and then get the kids and stuff like that. So I'm very petty as well.
Yeah.
So if I have a client that likes to message at 2 a.m. in the morning, they will get a response at 4 a.m. So even though it didn't wake me up at 2 a.m. But no, I'll respond to emails, I'll respond to texts. But if they call me and I'm not able to respond, whatever the case may be, I'll send them a text, hey, I'll call you back in XYZ. But they'll always get a response. But if they're texting or calling in the middle of the night, they're not going to get a response. It's just not realistic. If I'm with my...
If they're texting at 11 p.m.
they're not going to get a response. But they'll get a response the next morning at 5 a.m.
Yeah, right.
You know.
That makes sense.
But at the same time, if I'm with family or if I'm with my kids, whatever the case may be, if they call, I will send them a text and say, hey, I'm, eating dinner, I'm with the family, whatever the case may be, I'll call you back in an hour. But I'll always respond one way or the other. I'm not going to walk away from my kids and call them.
Right.
Unless they have like a 911. If there's something like, hey, something's going on, then okay, I will. However,
very
I'm not
rarely.
Exactly. I'm not going to break away from my family because those are the same boundaries when I was in the military. My kids and family sacrificed a lot for the military career. And those are not things I'm going to do in my second half of my life. And so those are the boundaries I set and promises that I made to my kids. But at the same time, you have to make the clients feel just as important as everybody else because they want to feel like they're a priority as well. And that's where the communication comes in play. Like you have to still communicate. You can't just ignore the phone call because you're with family or you're XYZ. So at the same time, I will respond, but I'm not going to just be like, oh, let me get up from the dinner table and answer this phone call. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. I've gotten a similar answer to that before, but they were more adamant on like, if I'm sitting down, I'm not gonna look at it like until whatever is,
Right.
Yeah. But so yeah, communication always. You're always responding, letting people know.
Same with our business, right? When you're in a service business, you're gonna get hit up. I mean, I've gotten hit up at Saturday at 11 p.m. For issues, and it's like, okay, I'm not gonna take that call.
Right.
Right? So if people text me, okay, I'll respond to the text the next day, right, or something like that, or I'll respond at the end of the day, some text. But calls to me are like the border. They're the line in the sand. Like like you said, if you're with your family, I'm not taking a call.
Yeah.
But if you text me, I'll respond to your text. I'm not going to just ignore it. So,
yeah. Nice. So you said you started part-time, right? Where did your original client base come from? How did that look? Or how did you present yourself as just as a part-time thing? Did you do networking groups? Was it just word of mouth?
Word of mouth. And so I started off with Century 21 Northside.
Yeah.
And so they did lead generation there. Obviously I was in the military, so people knew, again, my sphere, word of mouth.
Yeah.
I did some marketing. but mostly that.
That's probably the best connection you could have in San Antonio, I would imagine, is just having the military background. You could almost sell it right there just on that with a lot of clients, I imagine. So can you name a time particularly like you went above and beyond to get a good deal for one of your clients?
I don't think there's any particular time. I think every time you try to negotiate the best deal for your clients. Only I feel like now we're really able to do the best because I probably work 99% with buyers.
Yeah.
In the past 2 years, it sucked to be a buyer's agent because sellers were running the world.
Yeah.
Only now has the tables turned and buyer's agents are more in control. Or I shouldn't say buyer's agents, the buyer is more in control. And they're able to negotiate more, and we're able to negotiate closing costs, and we're able to negotiate the price, and we can, we have more things in our favor. So we're definitely able to do a lot more.
Yeah.
And so I can't really necessarily say, just one client, we're able to because I feel like, each and every deal that we do, I always treat it like it's my money. And I tell my clients that all the time. Like, I'm never going to go into a deal and pretend like I just have your money and we're going to just, wild out. It's always going to be like, it's my money and we're going to treat it because I'm very frugal.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking for coupons and I'm trying to save money at every corner I can. And that's how I'm going to treat your money. And I think they appreciate that. And that's how we approach every deal.
Yeah.
Jennifer, and you're a first military agent. I'm very interested to figure out how's that transition from the military into becoming an agent. How do you feel it has helped you or prepared you for your current job?
So I feel like I'm very disciplined and I have routines in place. And so I have people ask me all the time. So I'm solo in everything I do. Like, I don't have an admin assistant. I tried out a transaction coordinator one time. I'm very OCD and I'm very...
Yeah, so like the minute they don't do something that
and
is
I'm
like out of line.
and I micromanage a lot and I have to follow up on everything I do. So everything I do, I have a process for. And so I literally do everything myself. And so I do believe that my military career prepared me for that. And I have rituals for everything, like from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. And so I do believe my career prepared me for that. And I'm the top producing EXP agent in San Antonio. And so, but I don't have a team. I do that myself. Yeah. And so I contribute that to my military career.
That is so cool because the discipline is very difficult, especially waking up early. There's days where I don't want to go to the gym and I'm going to slip. I'll just postpone it to another time of the day, or I'll postpone it a week or a couple of days. But or if I don't want to do something, having the discipline to do it, because you're like, okay, I'm not just going to do it today. I'll push it.
Yeah, getting up at 4 a.m. for the gym. Not me. Maybe, God, I'd be lucky to make it by 6, I think. Right?
That's something you're taught at the military, right?
Yeah.
People do.
You just get up and you're ready for it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. It's something that's just instilled in you and you just continue to do it. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's days I'm like, oh, gosh, do I want to do this or do I even feel like dealing with people today? I tell them, some days I'm like, I don't even know if I'm a people person, but it's a joke, but there's people that are just not friendly and you're like, why did you even come outside today? Because you're just not nice. But you're always a reflection of your clients. So you always have to put on the best attitude, because I can't go and be ugly to somebody, because then I'm a reflection of whoever I'm representing. And so I don't want to be nasty and give that same negative energy somebody's giving to me, because then it may affect my client, or it may affect the deal that we're trying to, negotiate. So I always have to remind myself, I really want to throat punch you right now, but I can't. So let me just smile and
even out of the professional realm, you take that home, it's a big circle. It's not good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to know, especially from the military background, do you work with a lot of military? Are those a lot of your customers?
It is. Probably 99% of my clients
99?
are military, retired, veterans.
So how does that help you? Like, how does, if somebody comes from San Antonio, relocates, like, what would be the difference between having an agent that's a former military versus somebody that is not?
So there's not, during the seller's frenzy, it was my pet peeve because there was a lot of people that were not well versed in VA loans. So, they were directing their clients not to accept the VA offers, which made me very upset because VA loans are one of the top closed loans there are.
Yeah.
But because of people's ignorance to the loans, they just would tell their sellers don't accept them. And so, but now people are a little bit more educated in the process. And as long as you're educated and you know about VA loans and what they bring to the table, then there's not a problem. But we still have some people that just refuse to get educated on them. And that part is frustrating.
Yeah.
And so when you're not educated, whether it be a VA loan, FHA, conventional, whatever the case may be, if you don't educate yourself and become a subject matter expert in your business, then you put those biases onto your client and then it just messes up the entire deal.
Yeah.
And I'm
Right.
sure you're familiarized with the benefits that some military
absolutely.
families will get, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because, of course, I get those same benefits. So it's,
That's huge. Huge advantage for you.
yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. So it's my favorite question is just like, wait, what is it? What is your strategy for dealing with difficult clients or uncooperative customers?
Ooh.
Clients.
So, like, in what aspect? Like,
Maybe they're just high demand. Maybe everything that you're showing them is just like, it's something that they had described, but then maybe like you get there, you show it to them, they're just like.
so are we talking about like people that have champagne taste but beer budgets? Or are we talking
Yeah,
about?
maybe that's
Are we talking?
right.
So you honestly.
They want Bel Air, but we're looking like Milwaukee's best.
Yeah, I feel like I'm dealing with those right now. No, I think you literally have to have full transparency and communications with them. Because you're going to come across, you're going to have amazing people that are like super easy peasy, like first house they see, they're like, this is it, let's make an offer.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have clients that, you've seen 105 houses and none of them are the right house.
Right.
But I think patience is a virtue. And you have to remember that it's a big purchase and not everybody is going to be the same. And regardless, you just always have to remember to be patient. And you can be frustrated and take those frustrations home, but you always have to put yourself in their shoes. And you can have conversations with them. And then at some point, you're going to have realistic conversations. Be like, look, you have to have an 80% solution. Nothing is ever going to be 100%. But if we can get to 80%, and then when you break down those conversations, normally you can kind of ingrain that into them. And, if it's cosmetic, then we hire handymans. And they fix it and get you to the 100%.
Yeah.
If it's not structural, then we're good. If it's purple paint, we can paint that.
Right.
If it's a light fixture, we can replace that. Again, we're looking for 80%. That's what we're looking for. And if you can make them visualize, because people are visual, we're
Almost.
visual. Yeah,
always.
We're
Almost
visual.
always.
So if you can get them into that mindset of, get out of, your Pinterest and your HGTV, things that you've been watching and, looking for, then normally...
Those are some good memes. When they make fun of the TV shows, they're
exactly. Normally, you can get them to kind of like, okay, let's come back to the real world. You can normally get them focused, and then there's going to be some clients that sometimes you just got to be like, I don't think this is going to work out.
Right.
So we have a handyman here. So I'm pretty sure. How do you help them get to 80%?
Or 100%.
Yeah.
To get from 80 to 100?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of stuff you can do. I mean, there's paint, like you said. There's repairs around the house. There's, new ceiling fans, new whatever. So we can definitely help them get there. But I have a question. So you were talking about visual, and I was talking to an agent, I think it was yesterday, actually, and he's like, I I just sold a house without the people even looking at it. They just
Oh, man.
looked at the pictures. And I was just curious if you'd ever run into that where you had a client.
Probably 50% of my clients buy houses sight unseen.
Really? Wow.
That's a common thing then. Like, yeah.
It is. So because I deal with so many military, actually I have a client, we just closed on a house last week. They're in Japan right now. I have a client that's in Kansas. They are closing mobile notary in 2 hours.
So is that common in the military?
It is.
Because
It's
they
very.
just can't get to the
It's very
site?
common.
Okay.
It is super common, but there's ways to go around it. They're not looking at just pictures. Like I don't just show them pictures.
You'll go
Like
into
we're
video
doing
or
FaceTime,
Makes sense,
WhatsApp. I have WhatsApp for all my overseas clients. I do videos. We do neighborhood tours. So we do as much virtual. Like they can't touch, feel, smell, but. I mean, I'm zooming in. We're still doing the inspections. We're still doing everything as personal as we can possibly make it. But yeah, I deal with a lot of out of country, out of state, out of everywhere clients.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I could barely buy a pair of pants on Amazon.
Yeah.
I don't try them on. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy it.
Yeah. So in that instance, when we were talking about communication, so for like my clients that just closed in Japan, it's a 14-hour time difference. So now for them, at 2:00 in the morning, I was answering calls and texts because of the time difference. So those are exceptions to the rules. Now, if you're here in San Antonio, I'm not answering your call at 2:00 in the morning. But for them, I would be available for them for 24 hours a day. I was available for them because it's such an unique experience, and they're buying a house sight unseen. They're in Japan. We're in a different time zone. You know, for them, you have to make everything as easy and as less stressful as you possibly can.
Do you get nervous like sometimes? Like
Absolutely,
when they show up the
because
first
yeah,
time
and you're
room,
like,
you're like, you really like it?
do you like it? What do you think?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I bet.
Because, it's your biggest fear. Like, what happens if they come in and be like, this is not what I thought it was going to be? Because then
Right.
what do you do? Like, it's yours. In 6 months, we can look at selling it. Like, I don't, that would be my, I wouldn't be able to sleep if somebody did that. If they came in the house and they hated it, I don't know what I would do. I have not. Yeah, I have not ran into that. Like I said, I do as much video and talking.
And the good thing is we do have a lot of technology now that we didn't have, even 10 years ago that
Right.
could really help. So.
And I have had clients that like, hey, I want to make an offer. And I'm like, not with me, not until we see it, or not until we do a video tour, and not until we do this. Like, I will not allow anybody.
Yeah, because posting pictures can be very deceiving.
And they are. And I've had clients go into a house and be like, I'm like, photography at its best. Like, this is what we call marketing.
Yeah. It's always, the grass is always super green, and the postings are like, wait a second, this is San Antonio. Like, you only have green grass for like 1 month a year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Doom scrolling on Zillow is something dangerous.
It is.
So that's kind of a decent segue into what my next question I wanted to ask you was, have you ever faced any ethical dilemmas in your career in real estate? And how'd you handle them? We've certainly faced them over here. I'm sure Nate has too. But yeah, no pressure.
I'm possibly, I'm sure I have. I feel like everybody has. I can't think of any one specific thing, but I feel like I'm never going to compromise my name, my reputation, or my license. So I'm never going to cross a bridge that's going to put myself into jeopardy or my clients. So I definitely can't say I haven't faced any ethical dilemmas, but I can't think of like, oh yeah, this is a prime example.
Yeah. No, we had one that was like, oh man, they were worried about the neighbors. Like, they liked the neighborhood, but then they saw like a different ethnicity of neighbors, and they were like, no. And so like he had to draw a line in the sand. I mean, like, yeah, I'm not going to work with you now. Like something like that. I don't know if you have anything, but
wow.
I was digging for something. Maybe I don't know if you have had a hard client like that before.
No, nothing with ethnicity.
Just saying.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No, not that I.
That's good. That sounds like you've had a decent experience with your customers. And
yeah, I just throat punch them. No, I'm just joking.
Just go for the throat.
Just go for the throat.
So, do you have any like major benefits you worked for? What did you say? But like when you first started part time, what company was that for? Broker?
Century 21.
Century 21. Are there any benefits that kind of outshine other brokerages with EXP that you could maybe give our listeners? Like, what's a pro that you've had working for and with EXP?
So I love EXP, and I'm sure all brokerages have their pros and cons. But for me, the reason why I like EXP is because it's cloud-based. And so I work out of my house, and everything's virtual.
Yeah.
And that is what works for me.
Right.
So after being in the military for 28 years, having to go very, rigid routines.
Everything has to be tangible, yeah.
Right. And so with EXP, I come and go as I please, as long as I follow the rules, as long as I do what I'm supposed to do in accordance with, Trek and Sabre and my brokerage.
Yeah.
And they don't mess with me. I don't mess with them. It's a beautiful relationship. And I love it.
And you don't have to throat punch anyone.
And I don't have to throat punch anyone. So it works beautifully for me because it's very flexible.
Yeah.
I can take my kids to school. I can pick my kids up unless they have to ride the bus, and then they get mad at me because they ride the bus. Because it's heaven forbid you have to ride the bus.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful relationship, and it works wonders for me.
Yeah, for more independent people, you can manage yourself, your time.
Right, and it doesn't work for everybody, and that's fine. And I think, when you're in real estate, you have to find what works and fits for you.
Yeah.
Not every brokerage is going to, EXP won't work for everybody because of the independence that it provides.
Yeah. You have to have a certain amount of discipline, I would imagine.
Right,
too.
right. So it works for some people. It doesn't work for everybody. And that's fine. And I think, there's a lot of debates out there for brokerages, but there's not one shoe fits for all. And you have to find what works for you.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. Like, try out 10 different brokerages if you have to.
Right.
And find out which one works for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, we can sit here and have conversations all day, and I can sit here and tell you, hey, this works for me. And then you go out there and try exactly what I'm doing. And you'll be like, this is not it.
Yeah, right. A lot of people do value that kind of like team building
exactly
thing, or just that environment, like having that interaction.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about that earlier. Like, they want to go into an office and have that team unity, and that's perfect, and that works for somebody. And like for me, it doesn't. I don't want somebody to tell me, hey, there's a team meeting at 9 a.m. because I'm probably not going to be there, and then I'm going to get in trouble, and that's not. I don't want that.
Yeah.
So you must be really good at teaching yourself new things too, right? Because I know realtors, they always have to go through new training. It seems like for whatever things are changing.
And there's constant stuff coming out. Sabre is really good at sending out stuff. Our brokerage has we call it EXP World. There's a ton of training on there, so there's always things available. Champions Real Estate School, they always have stuff online for us to learn. I mean, there's a gazillion things out there. You just have to go out there and do it. So as long as you have, the ability to go out there and get it and do it. And then I'm part of this great little chat group, with these other real estate agents, and we're constantly feeding each other information as well. So, and there's Facebook groups out there with realtors, and they're always posting information as well. So there's an abundance of information out there. So if you want it, you can get it. It's just doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would like to circle back to the question where you mentioned that you were helping your clients from another country, right? Mm-hmm. But nowadays, like, people, I've seen that there's some on TV. They want me to sell. I always get like ads or commercials to sell the house or to buy a house online, like if it was an Amazon. But to me, it's like, how am I going to buy something if I'm not even a pro, or I don't even know what to look for? And I feel like it's very deceiving for people that want to buy a home, that they're advertising to them, and people believe that just because they saw an ad, they can buy it online. And how do you? And I know when you were helping your clients, there was a lot of things that was involved to help them make that purchase, rather than them just going online and trying to figure out, okay, I think I want this house.
Oh man, that's a tough one, just because like.
But I feel like she brings a lot of value, because there was like, as a consumer, I'm like, she has all these trainings. She has a lot of
Yeah.
I mean, she knows the area. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, I would definitely say always have a trained realtor. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on, especially in San Antonio, because I feel like there's a lot of scams going on in San Antonio. You'll see a lot of it in the rental arena.
Really?
Yes, there's a lot of scams going on with the rental. People will find rentals on the internet, and they'll have them submitting application fees and deposits, and it's not even a house that's even available. So I will always say
tough.
it is. So you'll see a lot of scams. So I will always say get a realtor, even for a rental. It's not going to cost you anything, but it avoids the scams because realtors have access to the MLS. They'll know if it's a legit rental. But there's so many scams out. And the same thing with home buying. Because we can do that interaction face to face. We can go out there and do all those tours. We have the experience. There's just so many benefits. And, you know, the ones that actually have dealt with overseas clients and out-of-state clients, they're going to go out there and do and give the best experience of home buying and make sure they're vetted, make sure they're pre-approved, make sure it's a real client, not somebody. Because I'll get messages on WhatsApp all the time.
oh yeah.
Talking about, hey, I'm looking for a house.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 1.5 million. I'll be like, block. Like, stop.
Yep. That's
You know?
one that you're not going to respond to.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean,
That's pretty wild though, just to hear, because that's something I haven't really thought about, getting like kind of catfished by for a rental or some.
it's bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
So get a professional.
Get a professional. Yeah,
everyone
get a
listening,
professional.
definitely consult with a realtor.
Yeah.
You've always got to have your eyes out there. There's scammers everywhere.
Everywhere.
I just put a car up for sale, and instantly I got these responses like, "Oh, I'd love to come look at it. Can you send me the Carfax?"
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was like, no, you can get your own Carfax. They're like, I'll just go to this website, fill out the form.
Click on this link.
It's only $25, and then it'll send it to me. I'm like, okay, I know what this is, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it's bad. It is so bad out there.
Yeah.
It's the same in our industry. Like people that they'll give you a quote online, but then they show up to the house and it's, oh, it's gonna be extra because it's in this closet. We need to run this. We need to do this. Like by the time you end up finishing the project, it ended up costing them more. But
Oh, those are the worst calls. Like, I just got a text. It was like, how much for like a 4-ton? I'm like, 15 Tier 2 or whatever. And I'm like, I mean, it's a ballpark, really. Like, without looking,
Right.
actually, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like answering any of that stuff. I
know.
won't do it, actually. I just
Really?
want to give people a number. I'm like, look, I need to at least have some photos. We need to have some dialogue before I'm going to give you any number.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably the most important, and that's why I said I like hooking up with y'all, and I love Air Integrity because my first conversations with y'all was amazing, and yes, and in our industry, it is so important to have trusted vendors and trusted people that we can call and put our clients in touch with, because it is like the worst to say, hey, I have this person, and then they call that person and it turns out to be an epic failure, and then they're calling us and being like, hey, da 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 da, and I'm like,
It's kind of like Frank's story with the realtor from your friend that they recommended.
yeah. So it's like it's invaluable for us to have trusted circles with people that we can say something goes wrong, or an inspection goes wrong, or whatever the case may be. Like,
Yeah.
nope, don't even worry about it. Here's this person. Trust me, I've worked with them. They're amazing.
Yeah.
They're trustworthy.
Right.
And you just give them the phone numbers, and they go off and running. Or especially if they close on a house, and then 2 weeks later something goes wrong, and you're like, don't
Yeah.
worry about it. I have a person. Call them. So it's like there's no better thing to have a trusted circle of people that you can trust.
Yeah, and it sets a standard too. So even if like Nate or we end up doing something different, we're not around anymore, it sets a bar.
Right.
So if somebody else comes in and they're not cutting it, it kind of just sets expectations. Even
Right.
somebody that's worked with a crappy realtor before. So it's good to have that circle for sure.
Right.
And the accountability as well is like, if something goes wrong, like you got to respond to her.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. We had that situation with Holden Roofing. So they, even though like it wasn't perfect, like the way it was dealt with, so we, like at the end of the day, we had accountability. I knew who to talk to. But we don't have to get into that. Sorry. Do you have anything else you want to throw in there? I'm not trying to like interrogate you too much
No,
here.
this wasn't bad at all. Actually, I was.
Yeah, you did well. So that'll actually wrap it up for the episode 5. Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the time to come here and chat with us. Nate, always a pleasure. True Blue Handyman, give him a call.
Absolutely.
Nate.
Yeah.
I know. I love it. I love
I
it.
got you all covered, all aspects.
That sounds like a TV show, honestly. Nate. All right, but thank you all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You've been listening to the Agents Lounge podcast, brought to you by Airtegrity Comfort Solutions. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or to listen to past episodes, please visit agentsloungepodcast.com.